Hey guys, what's up? We are back with another video today, and today we are doing our Virginia Tech football prediction. Virginia Tech is honestly, it's one of my better videos every single year performance-wise. When it comes to these college football predictions, it shockingly, it's not like Virginia Tech is a blue blood program or like this massive fan base or something like that. But you watch these videos every single year. It's one of my top ones that isn't like, and it's my best one that's of a team that isn't like Alabama or Notre Dame or even Clemson. It generally performs better than Clemson or stuff like that. Georgia, those big programs that a lot of people, especially even non-fans, are looking up those videos. But Hokie fans, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Help me reach my goal of 1,500 subscribers by the end of July. Like this video down below if you enjoy it. Comment all your thoughts and opinions down below. Let me know what you think about this Hokies team and where you think they'll be at and where you think that they're going to progress as the season gets closer and closer. And you got it for week 1, August 31st. It's coming around the corner, guys. Like I said, week 1, August 31st at Vanderbilt. You're not going to have many issues here. Don't get me wrong. I was high on Vanderbilt last year. I thought Vanderbilt could win 5 or 6 games. They didn't come close. They won 2. They struggled last year offensively. Ray Davis, that was a much bigger loss than I had anticipated. And to be honest, I probably should have. But there were other issues. There wasn't a development from the quarterback side of things. You just have issues galore all across the board. And I just think that at the end of the day, Virginia Tech is by far and away the better team. Got Kyron Drones at quarterback, I should state. And to be completely honest, when you're looking at this team, this is a team that brings back 11 offensive starters and 8 defensive starters. This is a team with a lot of experience all throughout the roster. And for Vanderbilt team, nah. Then you have Marshall. Virginia Tech, do you want to talk about that loss last year? 17-24 at Marshall. Though, I say this as a Notre Dame fan, so like Marshall has been kind of on a winning streak when it comes to playing teams that and beating them for no apparent reason. Like, it's just like, why you beating Notre Dame? Why you beating Virginia Tech? But you'll get a win. It's at Virginia Tech. It's not at Marshall. You shouldn't have much of a problem. Charles Huffs is a good coach. But Britt Pry, a hire that I didn't like to begin with. I will be honest and state that. But he has definitely turned this Virginia Tech program. If he can take another step, get maybe a little bit closer, we're going to continue on here. But he's taken the steps. He brought in 4 4-star recruits along with a lot of 3-star. This is according to On3. And definitely has brought in a lot of help at the skill positions, particularly wide receiver, edge rusher, and defensive back. So when it comes down to the next game, you got a game at Old Dominion. You won this game last year. Old Dominion is one of the worst FBS teams in the country. And yeah, they're rough. They're bad. You'll win that game easily. Then you got a home game against Rutgers. And to be completely honest, I've gone back and forth on this game. Rutgers is not a bad team. They're not. They have a super easy schedule. No Michigan, no Ohio State, no Oregon. You do have a road trip to Southern Cal, but that's about as hard as it gets on their schedule when it comes to Big Ten play. This is a game that both teams defensively, I think, are stronger than offensively on their offensive counterparts, but I think at the end of the day, when I'm looking at these two teams, I think outside the Hokies' slow start last year and starting off 2-4 with their only wins coming against Old Dominion and Pitt, I think that this Hokie team has found something a little bit, and I think that they're going to continue with that, and I think they get a win here against Rutgers, 4-0 to start out. Then you got a road game against Miami. I'm not sold on Miami as a whole. I don't think that they're an elite level team like some people talk about them as, but I definitely think that they can improve, and I do have them getting a win here. I think that Virginia Tech gets their first loss of the season. A 5-0 start, and you're going to see where I'm going with this. It's going to be hard, but it is possible, but I see a loss. Maybe you lose to Rutgers and beat Miami, but I think it's much more likely. Miami, they bring back some pieces. They bring in Cameron Ward. And I think that Cristobal's heading in the right direction. I don't think that he's as good as some of the people in the media make it out to be, because, well, they have for the past 2 seasons of Cristobal, and it hasn't worked. But we'll see. Then you have a road game against Stanford. This is going all the way across the country, but Stanford is horrendous. They're terrible. They'll probably improve a little bit this year, maybe. I don't know. Probably not. In the ACC, I kind of go back and forth on that. I do like Troy Taylor as a coach, at least what he did at Sacramento State. But at Stanford, I don't know. It's going to be a rough path. He's probably going to be the worst or second worst team in the ACC this year, depending on where you put them and the Hokies' biggest rival, the Cavs. Then you have a home game against Boston College. I think that you win this game. I'm just not a big fan of this BC program at this moment. I think BC has a lot to work on, particularly when it comes to the offensive end. You still, when you're looking at this team, there are a lot of issues. But I will say this: your head coach is Bill O'Brien. Some of those issues could go away this season, especially later on in the season. But overall, it's a rough environment. You did get rid of Jeff Hafley. Well, he accepted the OC job for the Packers, so I don't know if you can really call it getting rid of, because some people would see that as an advantage. But you definitely got a great improvement there. In the running back in Kai, I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry. I'm going to butcher it if I try to say it. He is a good running back. So it is going to be some struggles there against BC, but I think at the end of the day, you'll get a win there. 6-1. Heading to a home game against Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech humbles you here. I think that when you're looking at this Georgia Tech program, it's a Georgia Tech program that does one thing extremely well, better than almost any other program in the country, with Brent Key as head coach, which is winning games that they're not supposed to. Like, if you take, for example, last year, they beat North Carolina. They almost beat Georgia, and they beat Miami. Obviously, the Miami game was a fluke in and of itself, but they did get some wins. But they also lost to teams that they shouldn't have. Bowling Green. The Louisville game was almost a big win, but they did lose that one. And Haynes King is still there. I do like Haynes King at quarterback, and I do like Brent Key as head coach. So I am going to give the win to the Yellow Jackets, but by the slimmest of margins. Then you got a road game against Syracuse. I think you bounce back here. Don't get me wrong. I think Syracuse is heading in a much better spot. I think it was a good hire. And you have Kyle McCord at quarterback, who I just think it was a stupid move of what Ohio State did there. I think that they made some major mistakes when it came to how to handle Kyle McCord. And you even have Gadsden at tight end, who I think is going to be a phenomenal player. But defensively, they're going to have some struggles. And when you're looking at this team, they got some work to do. I think Manuel Ross, their freshman wide receiver 4-star, could come in and have himself a season. But we'll see where it leads. So I do have a win there. Then you have a home game against Clemson. I have another win here. I think that you do get a shocking victory here. And it's really the thing that I think is going to set the tone for the season. And I think that you get a win. Then you have a bye week, which I think is critical, but I'm going to give the win here to Duke. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't make a lot of logical sense, but I think if you're going to beat Clemson, that is such a high that I could see the Hokies kind of falling off, because you're kind of notorious for that. You could have beaten NC State last year. I'm just a little bit unsure about this team going like 10-2. But then I think you beat Virginia the following week. So I have you going 9-3. 10-2 is kind of like the upper echelon. I think that's the ceiling. I think the floor is 6-6 for this Hokies team. So I have a much higher at the end of it. And I think that latter half of the season wins against Wake Forest in blowout, Syracuse in a blowout, Virginia in a blowout, Boston College in a blowout, Those are good improvements. So you have some issues that you need to deal with, but I think overall this Virginia Tech team is heading into the right place. Brent Pry has a good situation going on. I like where they're looking at right now. So make sure that you go ahead and hit the 2 videos down below and the subscribe button up here. And as always, have a great rest of your day. Bye.